Alrighty, hello every folks, and good morning. So today I wanted to discuss the overall kind of difficulty and such like that of Sword of Convolleria, as well as a few things I'd heard and whether or not they're true, false, or what have you. Okay, at this point, for the sake of context, according to what I've heard, according to what people have told me, counts I've seen online, all that kind of thing, this is roughly like 30, 40-ish something percent of the way through the story, something along them lines. And specifically what I wanted to talk about here is a few of the comments that I'd received over, like, oh, you specifically, will have to go and get your all of your named people in. You'll specifically have to go do this, that, or the other. There's no way to do it without the monetization stuff. And I think I'm kind of starting to get where people are coming from, but it's not accurate. So let me get into this here. So, for the sake of context, what I've been doing is, throughout this story so far, there have been multiple moments where you're given the option to up your difficulty. And what I've been doing is specifically taking every single one of those to see where the difficulty goes, like how it was potentially set up and what have you. And basically what I've been seeing is something very similar to a lot of the difficulty discussion around Tactics Ogre when it got remade. Specifically that oftentimes folks are trying to seemingly take fair fights. At least I think that's what's going on here. Now the reason that I'm saying this is because from what I've seen, the difficulty has been pretty dang spot on. Like, typically, if you're going and having those difficulty ups, you're usually seeing fights where you're going to be severely outnumbered. You're going to have units that are coming in with harsher abilities and whatnot. That being said, though, usually the problem that happens in situations like this is that the mechanics wouldn't be there to, let's say, support being able to go deal with that stuff in a reasonable manner. And that's not what I've seen here. What I've seen is that the mechanics are genuinely there to actually see this through. Like, for example, attaching area denial abilities to stuff like your kind of hold-off units in situations like this, where we're potentially able to go and have units half dead before the time we get here. You wouldn't have, for example, the juice to keep your laser lady going. That's kind of plot mandatory at this point. Under normal circumstances, but if everybody's already roasty-toasty by the time they even show up to the fight, well, you're going to have a way easier time, you know? For example, you can call in reinforcements with some of your unit skills, which, again, feels pretty darn solid. If you're outnumbered, you still have area guards for, people like this here. It does feel like by using proper choke points, by paying attention to what skills do and whatnot, you can get away with a hell of a lot of stuff. And even on top of that, as far as units getting overpowered, the whole stamina mechanic does more than I initially thought it did. Like, for example, normally one of my favorite units for hold-off maps is a mercenary spearman that I've had from the very beginning. And in his particular case, he's somebody that usually, would be sent in to, again, deal with situations like this. However, I currently am not using him because the dude is too tired, because I've been reusing him on previous maps, and I got taken off guard by a story map that has genuinely been more difficult than most. So he got benched in favor of bringing in the firebomb archer over here. And so what we've been doing is just basically holding off this area using kind of trap shots, using firebombs and whatever else to keep everybody at bay, and that feels really darn good. Now, I will say, as far as actual legitimate frustrations go, it's kind of annoying to see stuff like this, where the game knows it should be able to make this shot, but can't, because she can't shoot through the fire for some reason. Now, I don't think this is a mechanic. This doesn't feel like it's supposed to be a mechanic where they're like blinded by the light or something. But according to the game, it supposedly is a thing that's going on. Either way, for some reason you just can't use abilities through fire. Now, I don't know specifically if it's because they, for example, don't want you to use the grappling hook to drag somebody through the fire, which is what I was originally planning to do with that, or if it's just something that's bugged. But either way, minor frustration and what have you. Same thing with, for example, it oftentimes would be good to have, Laser Lady over here doing that, but unfortunately, she currently can't. Anyway, so, with that said, though, With that said, though, as far as I've seen, the difficulty while getting a bit higher has been getting higher in a good way. That as long as you're paying attention to mechanics, again, like right here, the Overwatch arrows on top of these fire bombs absolutely just like wreck the fact that we're outnumbered about like 4-1 here. And again, the mechanics are there to support all this. So personally, at least so far, I haven't seen that argument over difficulty requiring the mobile game stuff to necessarily be true, but maybe stuff will change down the line. I don't know. Obviously, it's a bit too early to tell so far, but man, fire and arrows certainly solve a lot of problems. We'll say that much. Okay, so a few things that I want to bring up here. So as far as the actual kind of mobile game version versus the other versions, surprisingly, yes, that is an actual difference that can happen. Now, what I mean by this, though, is that when it comes to, for example, playing this on phones versus something like Steam Deck, that's actually a little bit of a thing that's kind of got me optimistic. See, one of the main frustrations I had with this thing is that it's designed in a sort of pick-up-and-play format. That it's seemingly designed in a way that it wants you to, sit down, play a little bit, and then carry on. Which is why it was kind of convenient on Steam Deck and also extremely not convenient on phones. Why? Because the phone version has an exception or rather, I guess it's more so the other way around. When you're, for example, playing on the deck, you can sit down, you can put it away for a little bit, and then you can essentially just put it into sleep mode and come back later, and it will still be working. On phones, though, if you decide to go shut it down, it will not be working when you come back later. It needs to redo the entire boot sequence. And that is very, very frustrating, because when it comes to the boot sequence for this game, it's got a lot of menus. Like, for example, something like, let's say, XCOM, right? It's got a couple of longer menus, but you can still, for example, put it down, and it's just fine. Like, you can just put the thing down, walk away, and whatever. That being said, the actual boot sequence for SOC is genuinely longer than for example, XCOM 2. That you can actually launch the entire game and be into the adventure and whatnot, and before SOC finishes with all its menus. So that is not great. Like, that's honestly more of a gripe to me than a lot of the other stuff. The thing about this is that's the stuff that makes you skip, for example, all of the annoying ads and things on your way in, over all of your mobile game stuff that it wants you to have and whatnot, which I do not want to interact with. So I want to skip that as much as possible. Anyway. But yeah, as far as the actual mechanics and things go, I will say the game itself has been pretty darn solid. Also, we'll go ahead and let this lady go over here and rest for a moment, because I need her dude to come back here. Okay, so long story very short there. Yeah, mechanics pretty solid. Monetization not great. But it does function differently on the different platforms that it came out on, and that's what's got me a little bit optimistic. See, again, on deck, it does not have that same problem, where, for example, you have to wait. You can just put it on sleep mode and come back. Oh shoot, bad time for the fire to go away. Oh well, that's fine. We'll deal with it. But yeah. So what's got me optimistic is that it's coming out on Switch at some point. Some point down the line there. I don't know if there's any official date or anything announced so far, but somewhere down the line it's supposed to be coming out on Switch. So that's pretty cool there. Basically, it just means that we'll probably have the same thing as we're seeing on deck here, without without the issues that this one's seeing. Okay, so on that particular note. Let's see, let's go ahead and move you here. No, you just got 1 point back. Alright, you just go ahead and wait right there. Alright, and you go ahead and firebomb these dudes. Actually, that's not... I just have you crossbow this, or arrow this. Alright, I feel like that's probably going to do a bit more. Okay, anyway. So, okay. So yeah, what's got me optimistic about that whole experience, though, is again just the fact that we're seeing a case where hopefully the kind of official version of this, the best version of this, may be on Switch, where we won't potentially see so many long boot up screens and whatever else. And okay. Anyways, so what I'm trying to get across here, since apparently I went off on a little bit of a tangent and what have you. So as far as the console versions of this whole thing, I think that's the main thing to be excited about. When it comes to playing it on a phone, I really do not like playing this on a phone. To its credit, I will say that it is seemingly pretty well optimized, to the point where I haven't seen, for example, that much of an issue with it burning a hole through the battery. Like, for example, if I were to leave almost any game on my phone, the thing would be absolutely cooking in no time, essentially just running through all of its battery like nobody's business. Man, some of these random shots, like I swear, despite this lady being a plot important character, for some reason her crossbow doesn't work half the time, and that is really annoying. That part does genuinely suck. Like, lady, why can you not see right in front of you? Anyway. So as far as the console versions of this game, I think those will probably end up being the ones that stand the test of time, whereas the mobile versions will probably end up funding it, is kind of what I'm trying to get across here. Simply put, because, yeah, going through all of those menus on a phone absolutely just blows. It's just a case where it just takes way too long for that to happen. But despite the egregiously long boot up sequence, there's actually a genuinely fun game here in the single player. And from what I've seen on playing on Steam Deck, you can put it on sleep mode just fine. It doesn't seem to have any issues coming back to you. And apparently we do have a triangle situation over here, interestingly enough, where we have gotten too far away and his AI has completely broken. Dang it! Well, actually, I guess to be fair, they kind of tried to make it a mechanic in this one. So there's kind of a stealth mechanic. I forgot to even cover this last time. So if enemies lose track of you and you don't enter their aggression range, you basically are in a sort of a pseudo-stealth mode, where if they can't hit you, they can't notice you. Which, again, to me screams like they saw a bug and decided to make it a feature. But yeah, that's kind of interesting how that goes. Like they actually have maps where you're supposed to go and stealth around enemies and what have you, and you kind of get that itch in the back of your head of like, this was originally a bug and they just decided to work with it, But again, I'm okay with that. That's a good mentality to have, I suppose. Because for example, I would have loved to see Triangle take that approach there, because they technically already have the thing in there. Just call it a feature. Like, no, they're just being too stealthy right now, you guys. Our AI didn't just break. What are you talking about? It would have been cool to see. But yeah, as far as the interactions go, even on higher difficulties and whatever else, so far, a good, which seems to be a decent way through this thing. It's been genuinely fun. I've been seeing a lot of genuinely fun interactions with all these different characters and what have you. I haven't seen any need to go, pull in, supposedly, however it's called, stuff from other places. This stuff is just kind of whatever, I suppose. I don't know how half this friggin' stuff works. Sure, whatever that is. Just go for that. Why not? Anyway, So yeah, let's see. As far as plot choices, a lot of them have not necessarily screamed that much that was that different. But I will say right now we're on a different path based off previous choices, and I do kind of like what they did here. Wherein, for example, early on you're given an option on who to call on for help, and there does seem to be a modifier based off of just kind of who you've built up a reputation with up to that point. They genuinely tell you that. So I think the way that it's set up is like if you call in somebody that you don't have a reputation with, you probably get one of your kind of dead timeline type situations there. And then otherwise, if you have built up a reputation with somebody, you end up going and calling them in. And to its credit, there's actually certain elements to this that I really started to kind of accidentally appreciate here. So, for example, I've been joking this whole time that it would have been really hilarious to go, hand off the witch lady to the church or something. And sure enough, What started off as a little bit of a meme resulted in going and building up more of a reputation with them, meaning that they showed up, which had an accidental kind of a natural moment there where she ends up she ends up showing up to go help everybody during a fight, and then also the church shows up, and the first thing they do is use some move that's like judgment for everyone's sins or something, and it just happens to target exactly on the witch. I'm pretty sure that was not meant to happen, but it was just a funny random moment. But anyways, so yeah, again, it has felt like there's like somebody had an actual genuine idea for a really cool game here, and then the only way they could fund it was by adding the mobile game section. Um, so yeah, well, just how does Colts do quickly? Anyway. I guess both of those would have actually resulted possibly in the same answer there. I'm not sure. There, a lot of the dialogue choices have also been kind of very Fallout 4, from what I've seen so far anyway. Like, the branch splits seem to be branch splits proper, but a lot of the kind of smaller dialogue choices I'm pretty sure don't actually have any real impact on anything. Again, like you saw right there, that answer would have answered both of the questions that were asked. So that's kind of whatever. Anyway, let's go ahead and skip over this real quick. I can probably just go rewatch it later. I honestly have no idea. Okay, now, have we had any issues with keys up to this point? Since this is already week 21. Again, supposedly the story is about 60 weeks long. Oh, I don't give a crap about this lady. Goodbye. Get your whiny butt out of here. Okay, so keys, no. So far, I started off with 2 keys. You need 1 to start the story. I think I'm up to like 3 in the bank at this point. There's another one coming tomorrow. There's enough of the free random currency to buy like 4 more. I really don't think that those are an issue. Like, it would have to start demanding keys every other friggin' like day or every other week or something to actually burn through those. I haven't really seen much of an issue there. So here, let's go ahead and go over to the thing. Go ahead and see exactly how we're going. Yeah, we will be back. So let's go ahead and take a quick peek here. So, where's this other bullshit? I have no idea. How do store? I don't interact with this. Okay, it was over here somewhere. Oh. Burn it. Okay, hold on. Okay. We have to actually look. Okay, so keys or whatever. Where are these freaking things? These things. Okay, so to get these things, let's see. I already have... Oh, okay, apparently 2 of them... Right, because I just started a chapter. So, we apparently have enough for 7 more keys at the moment. And that's just off of just random stuff that's been handed out. So, that should be dang near enough all that's needed to get through the entire story from what I've heard. So, yeah, I don't think there's any concern here over whether or not there's any issues about actually progressing through the thing at your leisure. This genuinely does feel like it's just free. So, so to me, that's pretty good there. Save the orphans. Oh, jeez. Yeah, you gotta love how... like, there's not even a question over who the bad guys are. Like, oh no, they're just showing up like a zombie cult mob, hunting down orphans. Like, okay. It's, that's certainly an unquestionable bad guy there. Now, I will say, though, one little thing to throw out here, just because it's something that came up last time, was in regards to the fact that the game came from China in the first place. So the issue that the folks have with that is because right now, stateside, there's a lot of kind of mistrust over anything that comes from there, for a lot of reasons over the years. Basically, just a lot of random, sneaky related type of stuff. Now, as far as all that stuff is concerned, it's basically one of those cases where, when it comes to anything that could potentially be on your phone at all times, or other device at all times, it's going to rub people the wrong way. It's going to come off as sketchy, whatever way you look at it, right? And so to that end, I can definitely see why folks would be uncomfortable having this on their phone or whatnot. That said, though, again, that goes back to the same old thing of potentially being a good sign when it comes to things like, for example, coming out on a Switch or whatnot. Simply put, because I wouldn't imagine anybody would go out of their way to go, spy on somebody playing Pokemon or whatever else. I guess weirder things have happened. Also, why the hell is this blocked right now? Like, what happened here? Why is that shot blocked? I mean, you show a line directly to the guy. Why is this blocked? Don't give me that bullshit. So it does have some bugs. I wish it had come out as a normal game, and generally there is, mistrust that's kind of well cemented at this point over having anything, from the country in question on your phone. But again, I feel like over time, as far as being a console game or what have you, I think it'll probably have a bit more love to it. Because yeah, this is genuinely giving a lot of like if Final Fantasy Tactics Advance got made a bigger comeback or whatnot, it genuinely gives me a lot of those vibes. So, that said, actually, one more thing I should probably bring up here is that there was certainly a moment where I dang near instantly checked out of this whole thing, which was one of the story fights that they were trying to introduce that one of the factions was potentially sneaky. Now, due to the way that I played it, this is a plot line that seemingly went absolutely nowhere, considering that I was, obsessed with not interacting with certain bits of the game at all, trying to get the Papal States to go take our witch problem away. Now, what's funny is that it was this fight wherein they're trying to show that, hey, the Knights Order there is super sneaky and maybe don't trust them or whatever. And they had this moment where there's a fight that is very clearly meant to be a longer and more difficult one, but they did the cardinal sin of going and giving you units, by giving you a infinitely rehealing boss. So that was already annoying, because I went and took out said boss multiple times, and they just kept chucking chicken at the guy, and he was just going and getting himself completely refitted in a sort of Castlevania sense. Like, dude just found the wall chicken, and we were just completely hosed. So that was pretty darn annoying, I gotta say. So seeing that kind of thing happen, followed immediately by a sort of baby mode thing, where if you do mess up, and for example don't target the boxes where you're supposed to clearly go and blow up all the guys chasing after these spies, instead they have this moment where instead they'll basically just give a speed buff to the units that are escaping, and they'll run away without your help. It's actually a similar thing to what's going on here with these kids. That I think this guy's gonna be able to reach them, so we're just gonna go ahead and stab this one. Where what they did was that they are currently giving these kids a speed buff to make them run faster, which I will say I appreciate in terms of a overall design sense, but sometimes they layer them on a little thick. So it leads to, again, those awkward moments like before, where you just, wait, what the hell? You literally can't target anything. Why? Okay, you just stand there as a meat shield then, because that's really all that has to be done. So yeah, not really the greatest thing there, but it's kind of whatever, but yeah, when we had that moment followed by the obligatory, like, resigned, oh my god, I can't believe they would do this kind of thing, followed by you're supposed to lose thing, basically making fun of you by your team getting kind of laughed at, that you would ever believe that these people that were clearly spies were actually spies. Then they just magically pull suits of armor completely out of their ass. And then, just so you know for sure that they were totally spies, you guys. It was silly and a half, to be honest. But, like, I guess it is what it is. So yeah, not great, but kind of whatever, but I dang near checked out of the entire thing at that moment. Just because there was so many stupid things stacked up right next to each other. Okay, and that being said, I think we are more or less done here. So I gotta go get the day started. Um, are they actually gonna do anything? Because I would assume probably they'll probably get a speed buff at that point and just make it straight to the exit. But you can see, like, if you accept the difficulty ups, they do start shredding through your units pretty good. Kind of what I'm hoping for is this right here, that I can probably tag this guy in, he can probably chase them down, and what's cool is that you can kind of triple turn if you play things right. So, like, right now, he should be able to have an instant turn right here, which means that hopefully they'll go and target him. Like, Bodyguard is easily one of my favorite abilities in this thing, because it's just this dude that can be resummoned a couple times during the fight. They typically will hold aggro pretty well, because usually the AI seems to be programmed to actually chase down your units as opposed to the units you're protecting, which is a nice little quality of life thing to see. When you go and get the guy out there, he immediately gets a turn, and then usually at the end of your turn, he'll go and act, and then you immediately get a follow-up turn because for some reason he's pretty fast, but also is given that opportunity to act immediately. So it's kind of this thing where you kind of triple turn whenever going and using that skill, and it feels pretty good. So, anyways. Okay, so that's all I had time for here today. Actually, there's one last note here that I wanted to mention. I mentioned last time that it wasn't possible to go miss things over your day. It technically is, and I've kind of found that optimizing the day usually optimizing your week actually more so involves going and making sure that people are resting before you actually start your week. So there are actually optimizations to be done. So I was wrong on that one. That if you want to take stuff in a different order, you might find something that works better for you. Anyway, that's all I have time for here today, so thank you all for stopping by. I hope this helped make a non-decision for you, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Alright, y'all take care, and I will update once I've gone and completed the campaign of this thing, and then we can sort of make a full-blown decision over whether this is worth your time. I mean, so far I'd say, considering the thing's free, it's pretty fun. If you're playing it on a PC, Steam Deck, what have you, you're going to have a way better experience than on phones. The amount of boot up screens on phones just, it sucks really bad, but for what it's worth. When I got tired of those boot up screens, I did leave it sitting in my pocket for a couple of hours with the screen on. It only burned through about 20% of the battery. So I will say, for what it's worth, at least it doesn't cook your phone. Anyway, I gotta get going. Y'all have yourselves a good one, and take care.